So for step 9, attaching the rear upper arms. Well, you can see here that we have to put these pieces on, which I believe are pretty much a bumper, and then we're going to be putting on the rear shock stay, and then of course these arms. So I've pulled together the pieces that we're going to need for this step, and here is all of the hardware that we're going to need. So I'll set this up and let's put this together. So let's start with this MB6 piece. And you can see that this side has an open hole, whereas this is kind of closed off. So the idea is that if you grab your gearbox, it's going to sit pretty much like that when it's done. Now the interesting thing is, if you remember when we first put the gearbox together, we had to try and get this little piece in, and it pretty much is loose. But this screw, this MB1, is going to basically tighten it on. Now what I've noticed with this piece is you can't just slide it through, it has to be screwed in. So if we were to put this right like that, we're still going to need to screw this into the plastic. Now I'll try and maybe I'll do it. No, I'm going to spin it this way for now. Well, in actual fact, we could just do it this way, because you see it wants to be screwed in. It will slide through here, but you actually have to screw it in. It's not just a complete open hole. This is, because you see if we put that there, it'll go all the way through. So let's see if we can't screw this in a bit faster doing it this way. If I get it all the way through. Now you'll see on this side, same thing, we need to grab this side and the flat with that extra sort of flat edge piece. That's going to now slide onto this side, which again, we're going to have to keep screwing this in because it needs to be screwed into that piece. And I'm not putting it on all the way, I just want to make sure that it actually is going to sit correctly. Well, let's do it this way. Eventually it's going to come out the other side, which you can see in there that it has. But I'm not going to put that nut on yet. I want to make sure that this part fits on properly as well. So if we grab one of these pieces here, the E7s, and I'm just going to snip this little bit of plastic that I'm seeing that doesn't need to be there. And you can see that this is going to fit onto there first, just like that. And then the MA2 is going to screw through there and into the gearbox. And as it looks like it basically is screwing in there, but there isn't a nut or anything. It's just going to be going straight into the plastic. So let's get that started. Just check to make sure that it seems okay. Yes. And just make sure everything else seems okay. Yes. Okay, so I'm now going to put that nut into there, and we should be able to screw this right in. And again, I'm not going to do it all the way, but you can see that it is going inside the nut. And on this side, I just want to make sure that everything is looking okay. I think so. Yep, we can screw that in. All the way. So now that we've got this screw in and into the nut, and I haven't done it all the way. I just want to make sure that everything else is going to be okay. This has gone into here, that's fine. But now we have to grab the other MA2 screw, which is going to be the same thing as on the other side. We need to put that through there before we screw it into the gearbox. So we can do that now. So I will grab our screwdriver, make sure that's going in level, which it more or less seems to be. I might back it off just a touch here. There we go. And we'll screw that all the way in. Still need to go a bit more, but we'll go on the other side now because it definitely feels right. And that pretty much is in all the way. And so is that. So I'll just do a final screw here just to make sure that's going in, which I think it is. I might have to use the other screwdriver. Yep. So there we go. There are the two pieces on the back of the gearbox. So that's more like the bumper. So that's great. So that part is done. So now we need to move on to the second bit here. And what we're going to need to do is grab our shock stay. You can see how this is going to fit and attach. So that has to slide on just like that, so that it looks like this. And then we're going to use this screw, the tapping screw, and we'll screw it into the top. Make sure that's correct. Yes. I want to back it off a bit. There we go. Now it's going to move around a little bit, just like when we were building the blockhead motors one, because this piece wasn't really in there tight, so there's still some movement in there. So I'm not going to over tighten at this point, but it's just to give it a little bit of play once everything else is attached. So that is in fully, but that is what it's going to look like. You haven't made a mistake. So then what we're going to do is let's grab the R2 piece. So this side, you can see we have the pointed piece facing back and down. You can see here that we have our screw pin, and the screw pin is going to have to go on through this hole, but you can see that it's going to go through both pieces, even the red part. So it's that whole bit. That's why this is going to end up tightening down afterwards. So if we grab our screw pin, we'll just grease this up. And we'll grab this part here, slide it across. We're going to put that into there. Goes through the hole and into the other side. So now we can screw that in. And again, I'm using my finger just to keep it down while I screw it in. And you can go all the way until you feel that resistance, because it's just screwing into the other side. And there we go. So there is one of the rear upper arms, and it's just free and loose. So same idea on this side. So we'll grease up the screw pin. And grab our other one here, slide that partly through, and we're going to stick that on the other side. Make sure that it goes through to the other side and the other. Yes. So again, let's screw that in all the way. And again, they're nice and loose. And this pretty much is, there's still a bit of movement, but it's designed that way. So you don't have to worry too much about that. It is in there solid, and these screw pins are in nice and tight. And you can see they've popped, they come out on the other side. So there we go. There is step 9. So we can now move on to step 10 and work on the rear uprights.